You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're listening to this, you are probably feeling that familiar sense of, well, information overload.
Oh, yeah. It's everywhere right now.
It really is. So we've gathered this massive stack of sources today, like a huge batch of tech newsletters, industry analyses, and financial reports from the end of April and, May 1st, 2026.
Right.
And our mission today is to just cut through that noise and connect the dots for you. We are going to unpack the this invisible trillion-dollar foundation being poured right now across the globe.
Which is fascinating.
It really is. And we'll look at how it's fundamentally rewriting the nature of your daily work. And finally, we are going to look at the wild, futuristic hardware that is about to arrive in your hands.
And literally walk into your homes.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, let's unpack that.
It's a massive agenda, I know, but it's essential. Because to really understand what is coming, you have to look at the sheer scale of what is happening quietly in the background.
Right. Usually when we talk about building massive infrastructure, there's this expectation of visibility. Like, you build a skyscraper, you see the cranes.
Right. You hear the noise.
Exactly. You build a highway, you sit in the traffic while they pour the concrete. It's loud, it's disruptive, and you can point right at it.
But this is different.
Totally different. Because then you look at what is happening right now, this week, in the tech sector. We are witnessing the construction of a trillion-dollar infrastructure project, arguably the largest in human history. And yet, when you look out your window, nothing.
Nothing at all.
It is entirely invisible to the naked eye.
It's the absolute definition of a tectonic shift.
Yeah.
We are looking at a fundamental rewiring of how human civilization operates.
Yeah.
And it's happening quietly in these, windowless server farms and automated software repositories.
Right.
And to really understand what is about to end up on your smartphone or in your living room, you just have to follow the money.
Well, let's follow it then. Because it's moving at a scale that is genuinely difficult to wrap my head around. Like, let's look at the first quarter of 2026.
Okay.
Just 3 companies, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, they reported a combined capital expenditure of $112 billion.
It's staggering.
In 3 months. That is just the cash they are spending on physical infrastructure.
And we should probably pause to consider what that physical infrastructure actually entails, right?
Yeah, please do.
Because we throw around the word cloud, which sounds, light and airy.
Well, like it's just floating up there.
Right. But we are actually talking about concrete, steel, miles of fiber optic cables, and these massive, massive industrial water cooling systems.
Right, so the cloud is actually just a noisy warehouse in Virginia or Texas.
Exactly.
And the spending doesn't even stop at $112 billion. Like, financial forecasts from Bank of America expect hyperscaler debt issuance to hit $175 billion this year alone.
Yeah, the debt is piling up fast.
They are borrowing just staggering amounts of money. But wait, before we go further, can we just define hyperscaler for the listener? We hear it all the time now.
Oh, absolutely. So a hyperscaler is essentially a massive cloud service provider. You can think of them as like the utility companies of the internet.
Okay.
They operate data centers on such a massive global scale that they can provide computing power to millions of users and companies simultaneously.
Got it.
And right now, these hyperscalers are borrowing record amounts of money just to expand.
But why? These are some of the most profitable companies on Earth. Why on earth are they taking on $175 billion in debt?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really explains their desperation.
Okay, how so?
We've kind of moved past the era where tech companies grew by just acquiring more users for like a social network or an e-commerce site.
Right, the old model.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right now, the hyperscaler that owns the model layer, which is the foundational artificial intelligence brain that all other software will eventually plug into, that is the one that dictates the future.
Oh, wow.
They are quite literally betting the farm on this. Because if you don't own the underlying cognitive engine, you just become entirely irrelevant in the next decade.
And the stakes are so high that Google is now investing up to $40 billion into Anthropic.
Yeah.
Which values that single AI startup at $350 billion.
That's wild.
But here's the thing. This scale of investment is actually triggering alarm bells at the national level now.
Which isn't surprising.
Right. The White House is formally opposing Anthropic's plan to expand access to its new Mythos model.
And the reasons for that opposition are really fascinating. It's not just your standard regulatory red tape about data privacy.
What are they worried about?
Well, officials are citing deep security concerns about what a model that powerful can do in the wild. But there is also a purely physical concern here.
You mean the power grid?
The power grid, yes, but specifically the computing power. The government is actually worried that if Anthropic expands this model, it will hog so much of the country's computing infrastructure that it'll hamper the government's own ability to run its essential cloud services.
Wait, really?
Yes, the physical infrastructure simply cannot keep up with the software's appetite.
Which perfectly leads us to the most incredible bottleneck in this entire invisible infrastructure.
Oh, ASML.
Yes, all of this money, the $112 billion, the geopolitical tension, it all relies heavily on one single, fairly obscure Dutch company called ASML.
ASML is the ultimate choke point right now.
Right.
They are literally the only company in the world capable of manufacturing the complex, extreme, ultraviolet lithography machines that are needed to stencil transistors onto cutting-edge chips.
Okay, I have to stop you there because extreme ultraviolet lithography is quite a mouthful.
Fair enough.
To give you, the listener, an idea of how mind-bending this is, imagine trying to draw a highly detailed street map of New York City on a single grain of rice.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Now imagine you have to draw it using a laser beam that is thinner than a single strand of human DNA.
Yeah.
And you have to do this flawlessly millions of times a second. ASML is the only company on the planet that knows how to build that laser machine.
That is exactly the scale of precision we're talking about here.
I mean, imagine if the entire global economy, the future of artificial intelligence, and hundreds of billions of dollars rested on the shoulders of one company in the Netherlands. It's just wild.
And that manufacturer is feeling the immense pressure of that monopoly, let me tell you.
Oh, I bet.
The demand is so overwhelming that ASML is currently cutting leadership roles. They're actively flattening their corporate hierarchy.
Just to move faster.
Exactly. They aren't doing this because they're losing money. They're doing it simply to speed up internal decision-making so they can build facilities and churn out these multi-million-dollar machines faster.
So what does this all mean for us? Like, what is all that $112 billion in hardware actually powering?
That's the real question.
Because if you are listening to this, you might be thinking, great, the customer service chatbots are going to get, a little faster, but we are way past chatbots.
Oh, way past.
This infrastructure is powering what the industry calls agents.
Right. We are transitioning from AI as a static tool to AI as a dynamic worker.
Yeah.
In the source material, there's a brilliant breakdown by Adi Osmani about long-running agents.
I saw that.
To understand the difference, a chatbot requires you to prompt it, it answers, and then it stops and waits for you. A long-running agent is entirely different.
Walk me through how that actually works, because long-running sounds a bit abstract.
Sure. Think of it like giving a project to a human employee. Let's say you tell an agent to build a website.
Okay.
The agent starts writing the code. Halfway through, it encounters an error it doesn't understand.
Which happens all the time.
Right. Instead of just failing and waiting for a human to come fix it, the agent effectively leaves a sticky note on its own desk detailing the problem. It pauses, searches the internet or its own training data to learn how to fix the error, waits back up, reads its own sticky note, and continues building the website from exactly where it left off.
That's incredible.
It leaves structural artifacts behind and recovers from its own failures.
So it's actually doing the work, not just, like, distributing it or outlining it?
Precisely.
But the moment you start replacing tasks with agents, you don't just get technical shifts, you get a massive change in human management.
Oh, absolutely.
We are seeing the rise of what the sources call agentic engineering management.
This is a really profound shift. Historically, an engineering manager spent a lot of time on operational tasks, right?
Like assigning tickets and tracking bugs.
Exactly. Checking code status, all that. Now, they're delegating those operational tasks to AI agents. The manager's role is moving up an abstraction layer.
Meaning the purely operational manager, the person who just moves tasks around on a spreadsheet and asks for status updates, they are at severe risk of becoming obsolete.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. The managers who survive and thrive will be the ones who center their role heavily on human judgment, relationship building, and organizational influence.
So you synthesize what the agents produce and decide where the team needs to go deeper.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, I hear that. But it brings me to a detail in the sources that completely threw me. And honestly, I'm pretty skeptical of it.
The Shopify thing.
Yes, Shopify is aggressively hiring interns. They scaled up to over 1,000 interns last year, and they are doing another 1,000 this year.
Yep.
They are consciously investing in junior talent instead of hiring seasoned senior engineers. Wait, if AI is taking over the entry-level coding tasks, isn't Shopify's strategy completely paradoxical?
It does seem counterintuitive.
Right. Why hire 1,000 beginners if the AI can do the beginner work? You're putting the future of your company in the hands of 20-year-olds who don't necessarily know how the underlying plumbing of the software works.
It seems like a massive gamble until you look at the psychology of how humans use tools.
Yeah.
Here is the aha moment. Shopify doesn't want people who learned to code 10 years ago.
Okay.
They want people who grew up with AI as a baseline.
But doesn't a senior engineer bring invaluable experience?
They do. But a senior engineer also have a decade of legacy workflows hardwired into their brain. When a senior engineer looks at a powerful AI agent, they often just use it to optimize an outdated process. They use it to write the old code slightly faster.
I see.
Shopify is betting that these interns coming in with fresh eyes will question the legacy systems entirely.
Oh, wow.
They want a generation of builders who reimagine what it looks like to build software natively with AI from day one.
So it's about the mindset, not the current skill level. You don't want someone trying to, attach a jet engine to a horse carriage.
Right.
You want someone who just builds an airplane.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
But the reality is this massive rewiring of the workforce isn't happening in a vacuum, right? And it certainly isn't happening smoothly.
Not at all.
The shift from human managers to agents is causing immense friction, and we are seeing that panic boil over into the boardroom right now.
The friction is palpable. I mean, we're witnessing the messy reality of economics trying to catch up to scientific breakthroughs.
Let's look at Meta. Mark Zuckerberg just held a company-wide Q&A after Meta's shares dropped 8%.
Yeah, that was a tense meeting.
And during this meeting, he explicitly told employees that their planned layoffs are directly due to the need to spend more capital on AI infrastructure.
Right.
And because AI brings greater speed and efficiency to their workflows, he's saying the quiet part out loud here. The bots are replacing the humans to fund more bots.
It is a stark admission. The physical infrastructure we talked about earlier is just astronomically expensive to build, and to afford it, companies are replacing the human labor needed to maintain the older systems.
And as a quick note on that same leaked meeting, Zuckerberg also addressed the drop in Meta's ad business. Now, we are reporting this impartially, we're just conveying his claims from the audio.
Right, just what he said.
Zuckerberg explicitly blamed the slower ad sales on the U.S. war in Iran, stating that customers are spending less on discretionary advertising during the conflict.
Which really highlights how macroeconomic and geopolitical instability are colliding with this massive technological transition.
Absolutely. But the workers on the ground are feeling the absolute brunt of this collision.
Yeah, they really are.
There is a powerful op-ed in the New York Times in our stack this week warning that Silicon Valley is bracing for a permanent underclass.
That piece really stood out to me.
Right. It argues that while AI will produce tremendous scientific achievement, it threatens to fundamentally depress economic mobility.
Because the fear is that the technology will ferry wealth entirely upward to the capital owners, the people buying the $112 billion in servers, while ordinary people lose their economic leverage because their hard skills are suddenly replicable by an agent.
Exactly. And you see the psychological toll of this in the engineering community itself.
Oh, everywhere.
There are widespread discussions circulating about AI burnout. Workers are expressing that AI is just a symptom of a broken economic system where people feel they only have jobs to pay rent and medical bills.
Yeah.
And when an agent comes along to automate that job, it just exposes the precarity of their entire situation.
It's like the technology is pulling the curtain back.
Yes.
The tool isn't the enemy. The lack of a societal safety net is.
Well said. But while the entry-level workers are burning out, the billionaires are literally brawling in court.
They are.
Elon Musk is currently testifying in his lawsuit against OpenAI. He is claiming that they looted their original philanthropic open-source mission to become this massive for-profit monopoly.
It is a very dramatic legal battle. But, there's a significant contradiction here.
Oh.
In that very same testimony, Musk admitted that his own AI company, XAI, utilized distillation techniques to train its Grok model on OpenAI's models.
Wait, I need you to explain distillation techniques, because to me, that sounds like they essentially used OpenAI's massive brain to privately tutor their own smaller AI brain. Is that what happened?
That is an excellent analogy. Distillation is when you use the outputs and logic of a massive, highly capable model like OpenAI's to train a smaller, cheaper model.
Oh, wow.
You're essentially siphoning off the smarts of the big model to shortcut the training process for your own.
So Musk is suing them over intellectual property principles while simultaneously scraping their homework to build his own product.
Pretty much.
It's completely chaotic.
It is. And this raises an important question, really one that defines this whole era of technology. It's the tension between the moat and the commons.
Let's define those terms for the listener.
Sure. On one side, you have the moat, these massive capital monopolies, trying to build a defensible wall around their trillion-dollar investments so no one can copy them.
Right, the Googles and Microsofts.
Exactly. On the other side, you have the commons developers pushing for open-weight models. An open-weight model is one where the core underlying code and neural network weights are freely available for anyone to download, tweak, and build upon.
Got it.
Musk's lawsuit, regardless of its underlying motivations, is really a highly visible proxy war for this exact tension. Who gets to control the cognitive engine of the future?
And speaking of controlling that future, alliances are shifting rapidly. Microsoft and OpenAI just entirely redrew their partnership.
That was huge news.
They removed a massive, highly restrictive clause from their contract. Originally, Microsoft had exclusive rights to OpenAI's tech, but there was a clause that would trigger if OpenAI reached AGI.
Right, and AGI meaning artificial general intelligence.
Yes.
This is the theoretical point where an AI model can understand, learn, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks at a level equal to or beyond a human being.
Right. And the old contract said if OpenAI ever hit that AGI milestone, they could suddenly limit Microsoft's access, but they just completely scrapped that clause. Why?
Because by removing that AGI clause and capping revenue sharing, OpenAI just bought itself incredible freedom.
So.
They are no longer locked exclusively into Microsoft's ecosystem. In fact, within weeks, OpenAI models are going to be available on Amazon Web Services.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they are decoupling their destiny from a single tech giant because they realize their agents need to live everywhere.
Which brings us to the most tangible part of our deep dive today.
The physical stuff.
Exactly. So far, we have talked about invisible server farms, software agents replacing managers, and billionaires fighting over AGI.
It all feels very digital.
Right.
Yeah.
But how is this going to physically manifest in your life as the listener? Because this technology is finally escaping the screen.
It is the natural progression.
Yeah.
We move from humans prompting computers to software agents acting on our behalf in the digital realm, and now we're moving to physical devices and robots navigating our physical spaces.
Okay, so OpenAI is secretly building its own smartphone, slated for 2028. They are working with processor manufacturers, MediaTek, and Qualcomm. They aren't just making an app to put on your current phone anymore.
Which makes perfect strategic sense, right?
Yeah.
If your entire business model relies on sophisticated, long-running AI agents that can, book your flights, organize your schedule, and manage your finances.
Yeah.
You eventually have to own the glass the user taps on. You cannot rely on Apple or Google to be the gatekeeper for your most critical interface.
It's a classic strategy. It reminds me of the early days of Google buying Android.
Yes. Perfect comparison.
Google realized that if mobile was the future, they needed an operating system to ensure their search engine reached the user without interference.
Exactly.
OpenAI is doing the exact same thing to guarantee their agents reach you. And Apple is absolutely scrambling defensively in response.
They really are. Apple has officially killed the Vision Pro headset after the M5 refresh flopped. The team has been entirely redistributed, and under their incoming CEO, John Ternus, who takes over September 1st, they're pivoting hard back to their core hardware, but they're injecting it with AI.
Right. They are pushing a foldable iPhone Ultra, a touchscreen MacBook Ultra, and they are heavily baking on-device AI photo editing into iOS 27 just to catch up to Google and Samsung.
Yeah, they're playing catch-up.
But the physical future isn't just, a phone that folds in half.
Not at all.
Here's where it gets really interesting. There's a robotics company called 1X.
Oh, yeah.
They have just opened a massive 58,000 square foot factory in Hayward, California, and they have officially started full-scale production of NEO humanoid robots.
This is where the abstract concepts become deeply tangible.
Totally. And these aren't those giant industrial arms welding cars in a factory. These are general-purpose humanoid robots designed specifically for home use.
To safely operate alongside you and do everyday tasks.
Exactly. They are targeting an output of 100,000 units by 2027. That is next year.
It's moving so fast.
But why humanoid? Like, why do they need legs and arms to do chores?
That's a great question. Because our entire physical world, our stairs, our kitchens, our door handles, was designed for the human form factor.
Ah, right.
If an agent is going to navigate our world, it needs a body shaped like ours. Think about the progression we just discussed.
Okay.
The same agents that can navigate a complex software repository, hit an error, and leave a sticky note to try again.
Yeah.
They are now being embodied.
Wow.
They're being given physical forms to navigate a messy kitchen, figure out how to fold laundry, or assist with daily chores. The software brain is the same. The output is just physical now.
And it is not just walking into your home. It's on the roads.
Oh, Tesla.
Yes. Tesla has officially started high-volume production of the Cybercab at Giga, Texas. And to be clear, this vehicle has no steering wheel and no pedals.
None.
It relies entirely on their vision-only, full self-driving system.
The fact that it has entered production without manual controls is a massive signal. It really forces a confrontation. Regulators, city planners, and consumers now have to confront a reality where human driving is no longer the default mechanism for transit.
Wow. But if we want to talk about the ultimate physical manifestation of all this compute, all this AI, and all this capital, we have to look up
To Mars.
to Mars. The SpaceX board just approved a new compensation plan for Elon Musk that is tied directly to the colonization of Mars.
The metrics on that bonus structure are just staggering.
They are. He gets 200 million super voting shares, but only if he hits a $7.5 trillion valuation, establishes a permanent human settlement on Mars with at least 1 million residents, and here's how it ties back to the very beginning of our deep dive.
Yes?
He has to build space-based computing infrastructure capable of delivering 100 terawatts of processing power.
We really need to contextualize that number.
Please do, because 100 terawatts sounds like a made-up sci-fi number.
It does. But for context, 100 terawatts is roughly equivalent to the continuous energy consumption of the entire human species on Earth right now.
Yeah. Wait, really?
Yes. He wants to put that level of power generation and computing capacity in space.
Yeah.
It's almost absurd to say out loud.
But it perfectly closes the loop on our whole discussion today.
Exactly.
The hyperscalers are spending $112 billion today to build data centers in Virginia, and they are already struggling with power grids and land constraints.
Right.
Musk is looking at the logical endpoint. If we need infinite compute to power these autonomous agents, eventually Earth just runs out of room and electricity. We have to build the data centers in outer space.
Exactly. It can absolutely feel overwhelming to track all of this.
They really can.
But I want to remind you, the listener, that understanding the why behind these headlines is your ultimate shortcut to being well-informed.
Yeah.
When you see a strange corporate decision like Shopify hiring interns or a new piece of hardware with no steering wheel, you now know the underlying mechanism driving it.
Which is
The relentless pursuit of computing power and the transition from static software to dynamic, agentic workflows. That is the lens through which you can decode the future without getting lost in the noise.
So we started today looking at a $112 billion spend on invisible server chips. We saw how that infrastructure is birthing software agents that are fundamentally changing what it means to be a manager.
Right.
We looked at the very real human panic, the boardroom lawsuits, the AGI contracts, the worker burnout. And finally, we saw how this software is taking physical form.
From an OpenAI smartphone to robots in your living room.
And data centers floating in the vacuum of space.
It's quite a journey.
It really is. I want to leave you with one final, seemingly unrelated fact from our sources today to just, mull over.
Okay.
On August 5th of this year, the upper stage of a Falcon 9 rocket, which has been drifting in the void since early 2025, is going to strike the near side of the moon. It is going to hit the lunar surface at 7 times the speed of sound. And yet, the impact will be entirely invisible from Earth. Too faint to see, too distant to hear.
That's a powerful image.
Just like that rocket silently slamming into the moon, the massive technological shifts we discussed today, the agentic workflows, the shifting corporate empires, the invisible trillion-dollar infrastructure, they are happening right now at breakneck speed.
Yeah.
They are fundamentally altering the terrain of our world, even when we can't see the impact with our own eyes. So as you go back to your day, I want you to ask yourself, what unseen impacts are silently reshaping your world right now?
Spoken Tech for your ears.